In the heart of a bustling city, a cutting-edge tech company faced a problem that threatened to derail its most ambitious project yet. The challenge was daunting, so intricate that it demanded the collective intellect of the best minds in engineering. 30 highly skilled engineers, each with years of experience and impressive credentials, were brought in to tackle this crisis. They represented the pinnacle of technical expertise, people who had solved problems many considered impossible. Yet, as days turned into weeks, their efforts yielded nothing but frustration and mounting pressure. The engineers approached the problem methodically, applying every strategy they had learned over the years. They ran simulations, created complex algorithms, and debated solutions late into the night. Each attempt seemed promising at first, only to collapse under unforeseen complications. Meetings grew tense as arguments flared, one engineer insisting on a particular design, another proposing a complete overhaul. Despite their intelligence and determination, they were unable to see beyond the constraints of traditional methods. The problem, stubborn and unyielding, resisted every conventional approach. It wasn't just the complexity of the technical challenge that caused failure, it was also the pressure and expectation that weighed heavily on them. The CEO, a renowned millionaire who had built his empire through vision and risk-taking, observed their struggles silently. Time was running out, and the stakes were enormous. Every failed attempt brought the company closer to financial loss, and the weight of responsibility pressed down on the engineers. They were trapped in a cycle of overthinking, unable to find a breakthrough. This moment highlighted a crucial truth: expertise alone does not guarantee solutions. Even the most brilliant minds can be blinded by assumptions, habits, and conventional thinking. The problem required a perspective untainted by past training, a fresh approach that no amount of experience could produce. It was in this atmosphere of frustration and despair, where failure seemed inevitable, that the stage was unknowingly being set for an unlikely hero. The delivery girl, a poor young woman who had been quietly observing the chaos from the sidelines, would soon enter the picture. She brought with her no formal education or impressive resume, only curiosity, determination, and an unorthodox way of thinking that the seasoned engineers could never imagine. Little did anyone know, the solution to this seemingly insurmountable problem was not in the hands of the experts but in the intuition and ingenuity of someone society had overlooked. Amid the tension and frustration inside the sleek, high-rise office, a small, seemingly insignificant figure made her way through the corridors. She was a poor delivery girl, carrying a stack of packages with worn hands and tired feet. No one paid her much attention, after all, she was just a delivery girl. Yet, her presence would mark the beginning of a remarkable turn of events that no one in the room could have anticipated. Unlike the engineers, who were consumed by deadlines, pressure, and complex formulas, she approached the environment with a curious, open mind. She had no fancy degrees, no prestigious credentials, and no experience in solving technical problems. But she had something far more important in that moment, a fresh perspective and an eagerness to understand. As she delivered her packages, she overheard snippets of conversations about the problem that had confounded the 30 engineers for weeks. Instead of dismissing it as something beyond her understanding, her curiosity was piqued. Questions formed in her mind: why is this so complicated? What exactly are they trying to achieve? She wasn't intimidated by the technical jargon or the frustration in the room, she simply observed and thought. Her presence was almost accidental, yet it was transformative. Unlike the engineers, who were trapped by their training and rigid methods, she looked at the problem without preconceived notions. She noticed things that the experts overlooked: simple patterns, overlooked details, and practical approaches that could work in real life, not just on paper. At first, the engineers barely noticed her. Some even dismissed her entirely, assuming she had no understanding of their complex work. But she didn't need their recognition or approval. Quietly, she began analyzing, questioning, and mentally piecing together a solution. Her eyes, keen and observant, saw possibilities where the experts saw dead ends. This moment marked the arrival of an unexpected hero, the kind of hero who proves that brilliance does not always come in a conventional package. Her entrance into the story was subtle yet powerful, a reminder that sometimes, the solution to the greatest challenges comes not from experience or prestige, but from curiosity, humility, and the courage to think differently. Little did anyone know, this delivery girl, overlooked and underestimated, was about to solve the problem that 30 brilliant engineers could not, setting the stage for a life-changing journey that would astonish the millionaire CEO and everyone in the company. After observing the chaos and failed attempts of the 30 engineers, the delivery girl began to see the problem in a completely different light. While the experts were trapped in their methods, formulas, and years of training, she approached the situation with simplicity and clarity. To her, the problem wasn't a complex equation or an abstract concept, it was something tangible, something that could be understood with patience, observation, and creative thinking. She started by asking questions that no one had thought to ask. Why was the system failing at this point? Could a small adjustment in approach solve what seemed impossible? Instead of diving into technical manuals or simulations, she relied on intuition, practical reasoning, and an ability to see connections others missed. Her perspective was untainted by conventional wisdom, making her vision startlingly fresh and original. As she quietly sketched her ideas and tested simple solutions in her mind, a sense of calm replaced the tension in the room. The engineers were still stuck, arguing over variables and scenarios, blind to what was right in front of them. Yet her observations revealed overlooked details, tiny flaws in assumptions, gaps in communication between different parts of the system, and opportunities for small, effective adjustments. When she finally spoke up, the room fell silent. Her explanation was not steeped in complicated jargon but in clarity and logic. She demonstrated, step by step, how a few practical changes could resolve the issue entirely. What had seemed impossible under the eyes of experts now became achievable because she dared to think differently, outside the box of traditional problem solving. Her solution amazed everyone, including the millionaire CEO, who had grown anxious watching 30 of the brightest minds fail. The delivery girl's fresh perspective reminded the team, and the entire company, that intelligence is not only about degrees or experience. Sometimes, it's about curiosity, courage, and the willingness to approach problems in a new way. Her approach not only solved the technical problem but also challenged a deep-seated assumption, that brilliance always comes from the expected source. She had turned failure into triumph, showing that innovation often springs from the most unlikely places. The engineers, humbled yet inspired, realized that learning and wisdom can come from anyone, regardless of background, education, or status. In that moment, the delivery girl became more than a problem solver, she became a symbol of ingenuity, resilience, and the extraordinary power of seeing the world differently. Her unique perspective didn't just fix a technical failure, it reshaped the mindset of everyone in the room, leaving a lesson that would be remembered far longer than the solution itself. The moment the delivery girl presented her solution, the atmosphere in the room changed instantly. The air, once thick with frustration, tension, and self-doubt, became charged with disbelief and awe. The engineers, who had spent weeks wrestling with the problem, stared at her, struggling to comprehend that someone with no formal training had done what they could not. Even the millionaire CEO, a man known for his sharp judgment and keen eye for talent, paused to take in the significance of the moment. Recognition came slowly at first. Some of the engineers, embarrassed by their failure, hesitated to acknowledge her brilliance. Yet the clarity and effectiveness of her solution were undeniable. Step by step, she demonstrated how her approach worked, leaving no room for doubt. The problem that had seemed insurmountable now lay solved before them, elegant in its simplicity. It was a solution born not from years of textbooks or experience but from intuition, observation, and fearless thinking. The CEO, deeply impressed, saw more than just a solution to a technical problem, he saw potential, creativity, and courage. He realized that brilliance isn't confined to titles, degrees, or appearances. Here was a young girl, a delivery worker, whose ingenuity and insight had changed the course of the company. In that moment, he understood that talent can be hidden in the most unexpected places, waiting for a chance to shine. Recognition quickly turned into reward. The CEO publicly acknowledged her contribution in front of the entire team, praising her intelligence, determination, and courage. He offered her opportunities that would have been unimaginable before, a position where she could grow, learn, and contribute at the highest level of the company. What began as a small act of curiosity and problem-solving now became a life-changing moment of validation and acknowledgement. Beyond monetary rewards or career advancement, the recognition was also deeply symbolic. It sent a message to everyone in the company: brilliance is not bound by social status or education. Persistence, creativity, and an open mind are just as valuable as degrees and experience. The delivery girl, once overlooked and underestimated, had earned respect, admiration, and a platform to continue making a difference. Her journey from an unnoticed delivery worker to a recognized problem solver demonstrated the power of seeing potential where others see none. It was a moment of triumph not just for her, but for the principle that talent and ingenuity can come from anyone, anywhere, at any time, if given the chance to be seen and valued. The delivery girl's journey did not end with recognition and reward, it was only the beginning of a profound transformation. What had started as a routine day delivering packages had turned into a life-altering moment that reshaped her destiny. The solution she provided, simple yet brilliant, had not only solved a problem that 30 engineers could not, but it had also opened doors she never imagined existing. Suddenly, the world around her changed. Opportunities she had only dreamed of now became reality. The CEO, recognizing her potential, offered her a platform where she could learn, grow, and contribute meaningfully to the company's success. She was no longer defined by her poverty or the job that once seemed limiting. Instead, she became a symbol of ingenuity, resilience, and the extraordinary power of thinking differently. Her transformation was not just material or professional, it was deeply personal. Confidence replaced self-doubt, ambition replaced hesitation, and curiosity became her guiding force. She had proven to herself and the world that intelligence and capability are not confined by background, appearance, or formal education. The girl who had once been overlooked was now in a position to inspire, to innovate, and to lead by example. But perhaps the most remarkable aspect of her story was its ripple effect. Her courage and success inspired everyone around her, the engineers who had doubted her, the CEO who had hired her, and countless others who heard her story. She became living proof that perseverance, creativity, and a willingness to approach problems differently could overcome the most insurmountable obstacles. People began to question their assumptions about talent, potential, and success. Her journey became a motivational force, reminding others that sometimes, the solution comes from the most unexpected places. Even beyond the walls of the company, her story spread as a beacon of hope and inspiration. It demonstrated that greatness is not reserved for the privileged or the formally educated, it is available to anyone who dares to think boldly, act with courage, and remain persistent. Her life was transformed not only by the recognition she received but by the realization that her ideas and efforts mattered, and that she had the power to shape her own destiny. Ultimately, the delivery girl's journey became more than a story of problem-solving, it became a lesson in human potential. It reminded the world that brilliance can emerge in the unlikeliest of places, that inspiration often comes from the overlooked, and that transformation begins when we are given the chance to shine. From humble beginnings to extraordinary achievement, she embodied the truth that courage, creativity, and determination can change lives, not just her own, but the lives of everyone she touches.